One of the most classic books of all time, one of the predecessors to George Orwell's 1984, Brave New World is a symbol of foresight and a man's ability to analyze the future based on the present. Aldous Huxley wrote an entrancing tale using fiction as a medium, describing a future bent on synthetic human farming, global indoctrination, and a plethora of other concepts that are scarily close to what we're seeing in the world today. Regardless of your worldviews, Brave New World will have you on the edge of your seat with an expanded mind. This is one of those books every man should read. If you've ever had the thought of dropping everything, driving off and just setting out on your own, then Into the Wild is what you need to read. One of the best books for guys that want to strike off an adventure. You'll follow the story of Christopher Johnson McCandless and his quest to leave the life he hated. He donates his money to charity and falls off the grip entirely. You'll follow his tales through the tabloids, right up until the moment he decided to strike off and take his own path. Through John Krakauer's masterful storytelling, you get a feel for being the lone wolf and dropping everything to enlist in your own adventure. You can't talk about good books for men and leave out Between the World and Me. Flipping through these pages, you're reviewing one man's questions about American history, race, and the current social divide that's been tearing apart our nation. It's an enlightening journey that takes apart the current narrative that many of us attach ourselves to and flips it completely upside down. You'll take a trip over to another side, one flooded with eager questions and enthusiastic perspectives that paint a possible future and an even more likely scenario in our world of tomorrow. You're following over the shoulders of a 12-year-old child who's been molded by a conformist society. Everything about this book, from the writing to the narrative, he'll have you saying, just one more page. In the ideals of Brave New World, this, the Giver series, is excellent to read with your son or on your own to get a feel for the dystopian future we could all be headed towards. Lois Lowry's 4-part series are all great books for men with an interest in the fragile nature of civility and society. There's a touch of tragedy, a bit of sadness, and a story that turns like clockwork to keep you immersed. Men will absolutely fall for the simplicity and dual complexities of Ovi, wrapped up in his charming wit and the intricate way that the landscape unfolds around him. There's comedic relief, a heartwarming message, and a few dark patches that help immerse you in the realities that Ovi is facing in his life. A Man Called Ovi is one of the best books for men with an empathetic heart and willingness to put themselves in the shoes of another. We're in an age in human history between scientific breakthroughs and vast communication methods that war should be completely unnecessary at this point. Slaughterhouse Five delves into history showcasing why war has never been constructive and putting an objective twist on how we view anti-war novels. As one of the top books for men who have either been to war or have had a loved one return from overseas, Slaughterhouse Five will resonate a little harder. Kurt Vonnegut takes a deep look into our history as a species and showcases our shortcomings as victories. In unison. If you don't already have this one on your shelf, paint me as shocked. Watchmen is a graphic novel that pours over the lives of American aging superheroes and the darkness that currently envelops the nation. Not only do you get a hint of a murder mystery upon which the story is built, but you do delve so far into the psyches of those worn-out has-beens and investigate the way their affection decayed over the years, and for good reason. Watchmen is one of the best books for men and have a soft spot for Marvel movies and comic books of their youth. If you're after some books every man should read, Invisible Man deserves to be near the top of that list. If you've read T.S. Eliot, you're going to see a major influence by his The Wasteland in this novel. You follow the words of a nameless narrator through the book, following the pathway of his struggles in a rough period of American history. Growing up in an all-black community and being expelled from a Negro college, our young protagonist takes to Harlem to let his voice be heard. He finds that through the violence of the world, he wishes to recluse into a safe space, which we can all relate to at one point or another in our lives. The Invisible Man is on its way to being required reading as well. The best books to read for men speak to our own individual masculinity, but also paint a picture in empathy. Ernest Hemingway's definitive edition of the classic novel comes with all alternative endings, which will keep your head spinning as you travel through every single possibility. A Farewell to Arms is a classic love story, a man and a woman from different backgrounds, similar professions, and the struggles they endure trying to make a life in the post-World War I landscape. This is thought to be one of Hemingway's very best works to date, especially when you pore over his specificities. He wrote the ending to this nearly 40 times before sending it off to the publisher. Not all books for men have to revolve around war and battle. We need a bit of comedy every now and again. The author David Foster Wallace has thrown in this hilarious tidbits of everyday life, amplified depending on the situation, with a strange quest for deeper meaning. Infinite Jest blends together the coping mechanism of comedy with the difficulties in life, while still remaining lighthearted and easy to read. This is one of those books that you run through like a hot knife through butter. You'll find yourself staying up late, entrancing yourself in every page. It's a lengthy ride of over 1,000 pages, but one well worth the journey.